Hey everybody, it's Emily from Life So Savory, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make some really cool embroidered masks. I posted this tutorial this morning, and this afternoon I'm going to show you live how I created these fun masks. They can be used for just any playtime or Halloween coming up. Even though I have no idea what Halloween's going to look like this year, my kids love dress-up clothes. So this is a really fun tutorial you can use no matter what the season or time of year. And we're just going to walk through how you can create these masks yourself. So let me go ahead and do my couple shares that I need to here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So I am so glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. And before I forget, I should just mention I don't think I'm going to be on next week because my parents are going to be in town. So yes, I should just probably say that. That's what I think is going to happen. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive that I will not be on next Wednesday. So it'll be 2 weeks again till I'm back, and then we'll have another great show. So let me just go ahead and share this here to a couple places. I'd love to hear what you're up to today. It is absolutely crazy winter here. We got snow yesterday in Colorado, which is absolutely kind of crazy for this time of year. But we're making it, and it will be gone and in the 80s by next week. So next week I'll probably be complaining again how hot it is. But today it's hot here, or it's cold here, and we are, I'm huddled in, working from home today. So that's been good for me. You can tell I have a bit of a cold here, a little scratchy in the throat. So I'll drink some tea while I'm showing. Oh, the fires are so terrible. Shelly, yeah, we drove, actually, we were in Utah last weekend for the long weekend, and it was so hazy on Monday from the fires everywhere. Colorado also had several fires. Now I'm really hoping that the storm that came through yesterday has really helped with those. Because the air was just so terrible, which doesn't help my throat issue going on and my, sort of head cold when I'm breathing in the smoke. So you could visibly see it all the way driving across eastern Utah and Colorado on Monday. It was really crazy. So I'm praying for you guys and hoping that those California fires get under control soon, and that people are safe, because I know it's really been crazy there. So today I am going to show you how to make a fun mask with your embroidery machine. It's really easy. I actually just posted this tutorial this morning on my site, Life So Savory, and the link is in the description of this video. So if you want to check out all the details, plus that's the links to the patterns that I have used for these mask patterns are from Etsy. They're super affordable, and you can use them as many times as you want. So it is really fun for gifts or costumes or whatever you can use them for if you have an embroidery machine. If you don't have an embroidery machine, follow along. It's going to be super fun. I'll still show you how to do it, and maybe this will inspire you for future when you are looking into an embroidery machine. All right, so let's talk about what you need for this. So one, you need the pattern. Again, the patterns that I'm using and have used are in the post that is linked in the description of this video. You need an embroidery machine that has either a 5x7 or a 6x10 or larger hoop. Mine is like an 8x12, but the pattern that I'm using is for a 6x10, but it also came with 5x7s. So any of those will work. Hey Jane, I think this is French terry. I did make it and put some fun little cuffs on here, but it's just a black sweatshirt. It's my free women's raglan pattern, and I just upsized to make it a little bit looser, and I added sort of a high-low hem on the back because I'm wearing it over athletic leggings, and I'm just being super comfy today because there's snow on the ground. So, okay, so you need those patterns. You will need the embroidery machine. You need some fun faux cork or felt or faux leather. That this pink is sort of a faux leather. These I made, and I had extra of this fabric, but I don't remember where I put it. So I found these fun designs. Look at this. Isn't that, those scales are just amazing. And then this is was some gold sparkle, blue sparkle, and just sort of a cream. These were all on rolls, like 12 by 4 feet rolls at Hobby Lobby, where I got these. But then this is all just felt and faux leather that I've ordered off Amazon. So you can use lots of different materials that you want. And then I backed the whole thing with felt. So I might not do that today because if I use this for my base, it's already sort of a felt backed. But depending on what your back looks like and how messy it is, you can clean it up by adding just a felt backing on there. And then I use ribbons that are easy to tie for the ties. So those are kind of the supplies you need. It's not a lot. You'll also need some sticky stabilizer because we're gonna put sticky stabilizer in our hoop so that we can easily add the layers of vinyl that we need, okay? So I have uploaded onto my machine a butterfly pattern. So I'm gonna make a third kind of mask that's a butterfly. And you'll notice that the mask patterns just come with what looks like a complete file. And so you kind of have to look at which piece is being embroidered to know how to layer your felt or how to layer your vinyl as you go along. So I'll walk you through that. It's pretty easy. Let's see, I want to turn it this way so you can see my screen. But so on here is the butterfly design. I've reduced it just a little bit to be similar size to these masks, and it can be a little bit larger. So if you were making it for an adult, you might want to upsize. Although this fits me and my daughter just fine. But isn't it so cute? There's that one, and then there's this one. So, and today we're gonna make a butterfly. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. So the first thing we need to do is hoop our sticky stabilizer. And then stick the first layer on to the stabilizer. Okay, so I have kind of my workspace reduced here so that you can be a little bit closer to the machine. So excuse me while I try to work right here. Okay, so let's see if I can hoop this stabilizer. See if it's loose enough. I also thought today, and I should probably do this more often because I'm always totally inspired by everyone else's works in progress, but today I'm going to show you in between the steps of while this is embroidering, what's on my work table. So I have a number of different projects in the middle of being made. And so I thought I would just take some time today to show you what I'm working on, and maybe it will inspire you in some of the things that you're working on. So I would love if you have photos of things that you're working on. You can share those in the comments as well, especially when we get to the part where I'm showing what I've got going. Okay, so I think this is tight enough. Seems like it. All right, so this stabilizer is thicker because it has both the paper coating and the sticky stabilizer underneath. So I'm gonna score the top. And then try to get it started. Revealing the sticky adhesive underneath. You can purchase this by the roll from your sewing machine dealer or craft store or online. There's lots of places where you can get this sort of stabilizer. Okay, so, oh, sorry, just realized you can't even see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll put it like this for now so you can see this, and then we'll go up again. So I'm going to start with this gold, because the butterfly pattern you'll see has an edge, a backing, and then the next piece comes almost to the edge of the backing. So actually in the end, you'll only just see this butterfly or this gold kind of around the outside. So we'll start with that. I'm gonna center it, and then we will double check once we put this into the machine that the placement is correct. Okay, so now, whoops. Bring this over here so you can see just a little bit closer. Okay, so you can kind of see the outline of the butterfly on the machine, and I can see that the first color or the first thread is going to outline the entire mask. Okay, so for example, on this one, there was one outline around the entire mask, and then it actually top stitches again with a thicker outline another time. But the first one is just going to show me the general shape of what I'm working with, and then from there I can begin to layer the other bits. Okay, so now we will start our first color. I have green on here, because I think green's a pretty butterfly color to go with my pink and my purple. And I will use the same color for all of it. This one I used pink for several of the parts, and then I did the outside is a gray. So you can decide if you're going to change your embroidery color, or you can, excuse me, use the same color for all the parts if you want. Okay, so we will start this, and this one's just going to take a minute. So after we see this outline, then we can decide on what our next step is going to be along the way. So Priscilla, this is a new machine last year. It's the Essence, which is a combo sewing and embroidery. So you can use this just as a sewing machine by removing the embroidery unit, or you can use it as an embroidery machine. So I have a smaller sewing machine, so I often just use this one for embroidery. Okay, so this is really fun, and I'm going to pull this off just to kind of show you what it did, but do you see how it created the outline of the mask? So from here, we'll start adding the details with our next layers. So what I do is and I've never made this butterfly one, so I'm kind of doing that as I go. I can see that the next layer is going to create the inside outline of the mask, which is I'm going to create with another color. So I'm going to layer on top my faux pink leather, okay? And I am actually going to put a couple pieces of tape, or maybe pins. I forgot my painter's tape. So I really like to have actually painter's tape by my sewing area because that works really well to hold a lot of things in place that I'm doing, because this pink is not stuck onto the sticky stabilizer like the back was, right? Because this one is, I'm now on top of that gold. So I'm just gonna put a couple pieces of tape on there and that will stabilize it. And then this time while it's stitching, I'm gonna lift the camera forward a little bit so that you can see kind of what's going on while it's doing it. And again, I'm leaving the same color in place. Okay, so we'll put the presser foot down and we're gonna go ahead and stitch that second layer. So let me just lift this up. And again, you could change out to any color you want, but I'm gonna just use the green as my outline for top stitching, under stitching, and everything. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this off. Let's see. So the next one is actually going to go over that again with a top stitching. So this was just the outline, and the next one is actually going to top stitch it. So what I'm gonna do is do a rough trim. I'm gonna do a rough trim of the vinyl or the pleather. So that I can really see where it's stitching. Okay, so what I did is when it was all finished, that's when I really trimmed it close to the seam. And I just used these tiny embroidery scissors to trim as close as I could. So you can see even on, say, this one, this is all just hand trimmed. So this blue was sort of a big sheet or a rectangle, and after it's stitched, then I just trimmed it with scissors. Okay, so you just have to kind of get in there and trim it as close as you can. And I'm realizing this gold underneath that I made for my first layer, the gold layer actually is coming off when I'm bumping it with my scissors. So I want to be a bit careful not to scratch that gold off, or it's not going to be very pretty anymore. The tape also pulled that top layer off. So okay, so I'm just going to trim around. Has anyone heard, so this is kind of a costumey Halloweeny post that I would be doing in September normally, and I decided to go ahead and still post this tutorial because maybe people are having Halloween get-togethers, or, you know, I really don't even know what Halloween will look like. But has anyone heard, sort of, in your area, is there going to be trick-or-treating? Or I really, not that I've looked into it, but my kids keep asking, and I really have no idea what it's going to be this year. I mean, I'm sure in the end we can always like get together with one other friend that, you know, we're close with, but who knows? Definitely gonna be interesting. But the fun thing about these masks is you can really use them for all sorts of play wear, even if it's not. Yes, curved scissors would be so great, Jane. Okay, so here is that second layer, and I will go ahead and you know, neaten up. You can see there's like a couple rough spots here, but sometimes with the hoop, it's hard for me to get the right angle. So I can go ahead and finish that up or get the next layer when I get to it. So now it's going to go around that pink again, and oh wow, so they've already made decisions there. I think you guys are still under way stricter rules and regulations than we are here, but yeah, I haven't heard anything. So it's gonna go around again and give a thicker top stitching around around that pink area. So while that's going on, I'm going to show you just each time I'm embroidering something, I thought I would show you something I've been working on. So first up, remember last week I made those tights, and it was kind of really a trial. I wasn't sure how it would go, but because the orange pair turned out so well, I ended up making Rose 2 more pairs, and the orange ones were a little bit long. She'll totally grow into them. But so I made these green ones, and they're just a little bit shorter. But again, just how I did it last week, we made tights, and these tights are made from my free legging pattern. So if you want to know more about that and how you could create your own tights from a free pattern, you can look at last week's live. Yes, so this is going over that line again around the outside of the pink, just adding a thicker, like a triple stitch around it so it'll be more defined. So I'm not exactly sure why it does the tacking stitch and then the triple stitch, but I didn't create this pattern, I just bought it. So, and these mask patterns I think are $4 on Etsy, but I just saw a really cool like woodland animal pack, and there were maybe, it was $12, but there were probably 8 designs. So that, if you were gonna make a whole set, would be really cool. So Rose has yellow and green tights in addition to the orange ones that I made last week, and I like to stick one of my labels on the back so she knows where the back of the tights are. And again, the feet, we just kind of winged it last week, but it really turned out well and will look great with little booties or things that she's going to wear. So I just finished those up right before the show, so they need to be moved upstairs, but that is one thing that's currently on my work table. Okay, so now it finished that, and when I look closely, so I'm looking, so here's the full design, and then up here in the corner, it shows you what the next part of the design is. And down here, it shows you the color they suggest, but I'm doing it all in green. Okay, so it's like the eyebrows. So for that, I am going to do this purple. Okay, so it's going to create sort of 2 eyebrow areas. So I'm just going to slip this over, and I'm trying, I guess if I put the tape on the outside of the gold, this tape is peeling up my the gold topping. I didn't realize it was so fragile. But if I put it outside my design, then I'm going to throw it away anyway, I guess. So I'm just you can tape or pin your layers. Okay, and so now we will start and see. So now it's stitching 3 layers of, it's really stitching 3 layers of felt or pleather or whatever you want to call it. But it looks really cool as you layer them. And this is, you can just apply the same techniques to any of the designs. This one really only had 2 layers, so it had the green, and then it had these scales, and then this is actually embroidered. So I did change out the colors because I wanted this to look like a really cool color on here. Okay. So that was a tacking stitch, and then it looks like the next part is the same thing again, just a thicker top stitch. So instead of peeling it off and cutting around and then doing the top stitch, I'm going to go ahead and just let it do its top stitch first, and then we will take it off and trim around there. So the needle I have on here, I'm not sure, Jane, but I will check for you when this is finished. Okay, so we can check when we're done what is on there. Okay, so the next thing I'm sewing, while this is going, is I am making a whole bunch of masks for my kids and my husband because they're back in full-time school, but wearing masks. So this is, I have kind of taken your standard 2-pleat mask and added a couple of really easy things that make these incredibly great fitting. And my husband wears these, and my kids, all day at school with no problem with fit. So I bought one of those panels that had really fun printed rectangles on it. So this is the little kitty one, which my daughter loves. And then the backing is just plain. But so what I did is I put along this bottom, the bottom part of your rectangle, I put a layer of clear elastic so you can see how it's gathered a little bit. So when that's under your chin, then it's really nice and tight and fitted. And then on the back of the top, I also add a bias tape casing, and then I put in 1 or 2 of these sticky nose pieces depending on the size. This little one just has 1 nose piece, but on these big ones sometimes I'll add 2, and then they just slide right in there. And I have all of these, so as they either break or fall apart throughout wear, you know, we can just replace the nose pieces in there, but this casing keeps them covered. And then also, so then you have, you know, the wire on top. That's so cute. So this is Rose's little one. One of hers, but you know, you can see how well that wire casing keeps it in there. And then this is like mask elastic, and you can buy this off Amazon by, you know, the 10 yards, but it is so comfortable compared to even 1/4 inch elastic that really does rub on your ears. So you can wear, my husband's wearing these all day, 5 days a week for like 12 hours, and having no problems. So I don't really use a pattern, Marty. So I create 2 rectangles, and I'll give you the dimensions if you want. So the tiny kids are 7 by 5 for the rectangle. Medium-sized kids, right now I'm working on some medium-sized ones. My boys wanted me to order football fabric. These are 7.5 by 6. Okay, so 7 by 5, 7.5 by 6, and then the big ones are 9 by 7 for my husband. So I would probably be somewhere in between these, but those are the rectangles. And then, so I sew in elastic on the bottom, then I turn it, then I sew all the way around, right? Leaving a hole to turn it, turn them right side out. So you just have a rectangle of fabric. And then I just put 2 pleats in the side. Sew it down. Make sure you have your elastic loopies. I probably sew those in before I turn it right side out. And then I wait till it's all done, and you can see that the stitching is actually on the outside, but I sew this casing on the back when it's all finished, turned out, and already pleated and everything. So, and then I just put the pleats in the side and top stitch around the whole thing, and it's done. So this one is really easy. It's a basic pleat, but once you put that nose piece on and put this elastic in the bottom, you can see it's just a little bit gathered down there, then the fit is really super. And I would suggest measuring the elastic for each person or child to really make sure the fit is precise. So my husband, who's a school principal, I'm currently making him 2 crayon masks. I have one son who likes the Packers, so he's getting Packers. One son who's like the Vikings, so I've got 2 Vikings and 2 Packers. And then for my husband, he's also getting some of this fun, just school fabric that I found. 2 of these. So making some new masks. We're 4 weeks into school, so everyone's already been doing it and wearing masks, but now we're realizing, okay, maybe we need a few more in the rotation so I don't have to worry about laundry as often. And when we run out, then we, you know, grab a disposable one, but I'm trying to keep the fabric ones in the loops. So if you have any specific questions about my method for the masks, you know, go ahead and ask me in my group. We can talk about it there. But I do really keep them simple. So the nose pieces, if you just Google are on Amazon, you know, put in face mask nose pieces. These came like next day shipping, and there's 100 of them, I think, for $7. So, and they're sticky on the one side. So you don't have, if you don't want them to have them sticky, you can just slide them in. I usually peel it off and then stick it into the casing, and so it's really stuck in there on the fabric. And then the bigger ones, sometimes if it doesn't slide in and gets stuck, I'll put another one in from the other side. So that really just helps to seal it along, but keeping it really simple and easy. Okay, so, sorry. I'm also doing an overhead camera shot of this so I can have this footage of what I'm doing. All right. Put down there. And now, oops. So now I'm trimming. Here, show you up close. So now we have the gold, the pink, and this purple glitter. And we're going to trim around these purple eyebrows. Looks like we have 3 more sections of our embroidery pattern to go. So we'll be adding sort of the finishing details, and then we can put a felt backing on it and be finished. So, and these patterns also include, you know, they stitch this eye hole, so you know exactly where to cut. And they also stitch a circle here on the side that you can punch out for the strap. So it's all really laid out for you. And so I downloaded it to my computer, and then I put it on a USB stick, and I transfer the design that way to my embroidery machine. Some embroidery machines have Wi-Fi, so you can wirelessly transfer. This one does not, but it does so many other things. I really can't complain about that. So again, we need another little trim, but we've got some fun butterfly eyebrows going. And now we will load it again into the machine. And the next thing is white. And I can't even tell where it's gonna stitch because it's white, so I can't see. So let's see, what's it gonna stitch this time? I don't even know. This is a 1-minute one, so let's just watch and see what does it actually sew. Looks like maybe it's just doing some little designs on the side. But I couldn't see on my machine because it was white. So it's not white thread. Oh yeah, so we have some cute little designs on the side. Sweet. You can see right here. Okay, so this machine is the Brother Essence 5200, and it is a combo sewing and embroidery. So you can remove the embroidery unit and just use it as a sewing machine, which would be nice for those of you who just want one machine. And the hoop size is 8x12, which I absolutely love. I went from first to 4x4, then I had a 5x7, and then having the 8x12. Oh my goodness, what a difference of all the projects that you can make in a larger hoop. But these mask designs will fit when you look like to purchase them. They say for 5x7 and up, okay? So you can use them in a 5x7 hoop or larger. I'm assuming if they were in a 5x7 hoop that they would be a little bit smaller, because this is 7 inches wide, and usually it can't go all the way to the edge of the hoop. So you'd probably have a little bit smaller mask in a smaller hoop. But let's see when it finishes this design. The next one is going to put some other detailing, I think, around. And then once I get that started, I will show you 3 other projects that I'm in the middle of working on that we'll talk about those. Okay, so it just did those little designs, and then the next one is going to sort of embroider antennas and some swirlies. And again, we're just gonna leave it with the green. So we'll see what it looks like in just a minute. Okay, so what else am I working on? So like I said, last weekend we went camping just across the border in Utah from Colorado. And I've been wanting to do this project for a while, and I started it, but I didn't finish it, unfortunately. So now I'll have to keep working on it. And now that it's snowy, I might not be so excited about finishing a sun hat, but I found this free crochet pattern to make a wide brim sun hat. So right now it's just like a tiny brim, but what it's going to be is like, I'm gonna keep going lots and lots of rows so that it is a wide brim sun hat. So you can see definitely how it's coming, but I wanna make the brim really wide because that's just sort of the style of hat that I want. So that is another project that's currently on my table, but might get tabled, no pun intended, until our next car trip, because I like working on crochet projects in the car, not so much at home because I get distracted by too many other things. So, okay, so I'm working on that. I'm also working on making some cute little fall mug cozies. So I'm going to take my fall fabric. I have some orange and some yellow check and some green check, and so I'm making 3 different styles with fusible fleece in the middle, and then I'm going to have them so you can put them, you know, around your mug if you want fabric. Sometimes they do get really warm on the outside, especially like me if you microwave your mug 10 times in the morning to keep your coffee hot. So after it comes out of the microwave, you can put your little mug cozy on there, and then you can be able to grab it and it's not too hot. So I will be posting that as part of our sewing collective, you know, where I do a post with a bunch of other sewing bloggers, and we're posting fall projects in maybe a week or a week and a half. So I'm working on those cozies for that project. So that is fun. And I also decided I wanted colored elastic and didn't have any, so I took a Sharpie marker and I colored my elastic, and we'll see how that works in the end. I don't know if it's actually gonna look good or it's gonna look like I just took a Sharpie and colored my elastic. So, and the final thing that I have on my table that I'm working on is a couple of shirts that my son was given for things that he's volunteering for. So he's going to start volunteering in the preschool room at our church, and so they only had adult sizes. So this is an adult small, and it really fits him everywhere except for that it's just too long on him. So I have it marked somewhere here just to take a couple inches off. So I'm going to rehem this t-shirt for him to be able to wear, and then the same thing with this service shirt is also long and an adult small, so I just marked it to do that. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so you made one with cotton yarn, but I had to add a hat wire to the brim. Okay. So this is a free crochet pattern, like I said, and it says to use fishing line in the last couple outer rims for stability, but I want to show you the yarn I'm using, if I can find the other ball of it with the label. It's like raffia yarn. It's so cool. Look at it's like flat. Can you see that? And it's actually pretty stiff. So it's called Rewind Tape Yarn, and I think it has a pretty good structure compared to cotton yarn. I mean, you can see even how structured my hat is just sitting here, but I also love that it's packable, right? I want to be able to just fold it up, and then I want to be able to sort of shape it and go. So I'll keep you posted on how this hat turns out, and if I really needed more stabilizer. There is a row along the bottom of the top that has eyelets in it to thread. The instructions said to thread like a leather cord, and then you can tighten it or loosen it but so that's that. There's one row in here that sort of has holes, so I can thread my leather cord through. So we'll see. I don't know, I've never tried this pattern before. I've never crocheted a hat before. All new things, but I kind of have wanted like a floppy brimmed wide hat, sun hat, for a while. So I thought it would be fun to make. So I ordered this straight off the Lion Brand website. So I'll show you this right off Lion Brand yarns. And again, it's rewind tape yarn. So they had lots of different colors that were really fun. Okay, so this is looking like we're doing great. And I'll show you one final thing, how it's looking before we do it. So the final stitching is going to outline this with thicker top stitching, and it's going to add the circles for our ribbon ties. Okay, so that's what the final embroidery one is going to do. And then we will finish this with felt and the regular sewing machine, and I'll show you how I finish it. Whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and grab actually my white felt out from over here while that is stitching. So I'm ready to go. And those of you who are just joining or have just joined, we're making these fun masks on the embroidery machine. So someone asked, can your baby lock do that? So Beth, if your baby lock can take embroidery designs, these are just embroidery designs that I purchased. They have nothing to do with the machine. So you should be able to buy them. Download them and use them on your machine. So here's the other one. Yeah. Too much talking. So this is what we're making, and I'm making a third design, which is a butterfly. So we'll see that in a minute. Hopefully. And then we're gonna back it with this white felt. And I have these cut for ties. Okay. So you guys need to share with me in the comments or, you know, wherever, what are you working on? So now I've shared all of sort of my current projects and what's taking up my time. And please do the same. So share a picture in the comments if you've got something you're working on. I don't know if we can share a picture in the comments actually on this video. I think I've tried before and really haven't been able to, but see if it pops up that you can. And if not, just share it in the pattern group. And we'll take, so this also should add the eye outlines for us to cut for the eye holes as well. And so we'll see what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to give you a so that just finished re-top stitching the outside with a thicker line. Now it's going to add those little circles to cut for the ribbons. And then it will add the eye openings and be finished. Hopefully I trimmed that purple. It might be sort of stitching on top of some of the purple that I didn't do wide enough. Oh no, the bobbin thread. Of course. Let's see. I recently did a large embroidery design, and I had to change the bobbin thread so many times. I didn't realize how much bobbin thread some of the larger designs use, because I almost always just do small or medium size designs. So, so I'm excited. I didn't necessarily see all those things you guys were saying you're working on, but I will look through when we're finished to get all your fun projects that you've got going. Okay, so now this should continue. Oh, I didn't put this back on, but I think it will still work without the plate. Yeah, so I'll show you, but it looks like one of the eyebrows, because I didn't trim it close enough, it's kind of into the eye hole. But we'll see. So now it's going to do the other side, and then we'll take it off and we'll finish up. A bread bag, that's fun. Does that keep like them from getting stale? Is it airtight enough? I'd love to know, Lois, what you think, because yeah, sometimes I don't know what to do, where to put it. Oh, that's nice of you, Nancy. I so far have not mass-produced masks. That has not been something I've tackled beyond making them to give away to a few friends who have specifically asked me. Which I have helped some people out to do that, but okay, so here's our fun design. And we can now take it all apart and trim. Let's see. Trim it up and finish it. Move this over here. I'm going to put this back on so I don't lose it. Just going to move this over a tiny bit. Give me a little bit more workspace here. So I think this butterfly is going to be as big of a success as the, see if I can rip this away or I need to cut it. Other designs. Oops, sorry, tip this down. Ah! Good thing that tea was almost out. And there's no computer products over there. My tea can get on. All right, so we're just cutting this, trying to remove the backing. So you're gonna embroider on baby onesies, Melissa? Is that what you're doing? I would, if you're just adding embroidery, I would do a double layer of medium weight stabilizer. So with knit, and especially baby onesies that it's a pretty fine knit fabric, I like to do a double layer of stabilizer just so it doesn't look stretched out when you're finished. And I like medium weight because it's not too chunky. So I think that is what I would recommend. Okay, so I'm just trimming this up. You can see. And again, if you want the details on these patterns that I used, You can click through to the blog post that I just posted this morning. The link is in the description of this video, and it will give you all the details to click through to get these patterns that you can make on your embroidery machine. And they should work on any brand or any type of embroidery machine as long as you can import a file. Look at how cute that is. You should be able to use this and make it. So now I have some finer areas to cut, and I'm going to get out my, I have been meaning to purchase curved embroidery scissors for forever and just have not done it. So anything that has a sharp small tip that you can get into these areas, but I've used those curved ones before and they really are delightful. And these faux leathers or faux vinyls or, you know, whatever they are, they're not gonna fray. So you don't have to be too worried, you know, that your edges are gonna get messy. It's just, you kind of want them to look neat and finished. And I feel like on my other ones, they look really great. They almost look like the machine cut the edges by the time I finished it up and finalized it. So looking beautiful. Denise, this is the Essence 5200, and it is a combination sewing and embroidery. So I have the embroidery unit on it. I can do embroidery up to 6 by 10, and then I could take the embroidery unit off and it would become just a sewing machine. So I love that it's versatile. If you have limited space, the combo machines are great. I'm using my bigger scissors here to trim the eyes because it is multiple layers of fabric, and I don't think my little ones can keep up. This is the thickest. None of those other ones had 2 layers in the eye hole. It was just single layer at the eyes. So I was able to use the other one. But so there you go. Looks good. We'll clean up the edges after we put the felt on. And then I will also poke through the ribbon holes after we put the felt on. And then sometimes you have a bunch of threads to clip, clean it up. I'm gonna leave all this stabilizer on the back for stability. Ooh, look at that, so pretty. I love it. It looks really great. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a layer of felt on the back. So I just roughly cut the felt. And see if I can get the pins to go to, sorry, I moved everything to have room up here. You guys know I'm working in a more limited space, so sometimes move one thing to do something else. And so I'm gonna just pin this around the edges to hold this on. And then I'm gonna take this and I'll swing you around to embroider on the felt, or sew on the felt. Okay. Do. Let's just pull this here over to the sewing machine. Sorry, stumped you on the floor. Trying to get the angle. Okay, So I'm just going to top stitch over this green stitching as closely as I can so that hopefully you don't really see it. However, you probably will see it a little bit because I have white thread in this machine. So you probably will see my white stitching a little bit over the green top stitching. I think ideally you want to use the same color as the top stitching. Sorry. And then this felt also provides another layer of, you know, thickness to give the mask structure and shape. It's a little bit tedious here going around these butterfly antenna, but I'm just doing swivels and pivots. We'll make it around. And then as the pins, if they get in the way, you can go ahead and move those pins that you put in. These would make really fun gifts for kids that you know who love to dress up. Right? They can be used all year round. So I'm on Friday, I'm going to share how I use the unicorn and the dragon mask to create fun Halloween costumes that can also be worn for everyday wear. So I'll give you a hint, the dragon costume is actually pajamas, but you're gonna love when you see the final version of it and how it worked out. So my kids have a dragon costume and a unicorn costume that actually can be just worn. If you take the mask off, can be just worn for everyday wear. And I love Halloween costumes, especially if you're gonna spend time and money on something that can be worn for more than just that one occasion. So that is gonna be Friday's post. You won't wanna miss it. It's some great ideas and inspiration for creating costumes and kids' playwear. And these masks are part of it, but today I shared the mask part of the tutorial because I just wanted to give people ideas for these cool masks. Yep, the felt's gonna make it really great on the back. So now I'm going to trim it up, and then we'll poke open the holes where the ribbon gets tied, and then we're finished. Super fun project, and doing it on the embroidery machine, it actually doesn't take a lot of effort on my part because the machine does all the work. I just stand there and push the start button. So yes, it makes the back of this really soft against your face because it's just going to be felt. Oh, you know what I didn't do is I didn't re-top stitch around the eye holes. So I'm going to cut them, but I'll have to go back and stitch that so that it doesn't come away from that part of the design. Okay, so I also top stitch around the eye holes so that it makes sure everything stays in place, but I'll do that later. It's not going anywhere today. But I think if they got played with a lot, the felt could get moved or shifted as it starts to wear. Okay, and let's see, I gotta cut around up here. trim it out. I know this part isn't very exciting. You guys are doing great hanging in there. I can hear the snow falling off the trees, hitting my roof outside as it warms up a little bit. I think it was supposed to get to like a whopping 44 today. It was 90 2 days ago. Look at how beautiful it is. I love it. All right, let's add the straps here. So again, I'm trying to think what I used to cut. This is now through 2 layers and 3 layers with the felt. Whereas the other masks I made, I don't think were quite as thick through here. So I have to think about how can I get this through. Okay, I need like a huge needle to thread this through the hole. Once it's through the hole, it's fine. I'm just gonna tie it, see if I can shove it through with my scissors. Yep. Okay, so what I did on the other ones was I pulled it through, I knotted it once, and then I actually stitched it, so I'm going to pin it, stitched it across here to keep it from going anywhere. Let's show you. Okay, so you have a knot just because it looks pretty, and then here I have the stitching. Ooh, it's right back there, sorry. The stitching to keep it from there. This is grain ribbon because I have gobs of it. Satin ribbon might be prettier, but this is gonna wear, I feel like gross grain ribbon for kids that are tying and untying their masks, right? If they're playing with it, this is probably gonna wear better. So this is what I used. Okay, again, I'll tie it in a knot and then I will pin it back and I'll top stitch that later. So now you can put it on and you can tie it behind your back in a bow or a knot. And you can have a beautiful mask. Isn't that cool? So make fun masks on your embroidery machine. Okay, so anyway, I hope this inspires you to think about sort of non-traditional things that you can make on your embroidery machine, and fun for Halloween costumes and dress up and all kinds of fun things that your kids or grandkids will love. And once you've tied it, you know, it can just slip over. Or you could also put elastic around. I think the ribbon is cute, but elastic would totally work, you know, as well to put over. So there you go. Hope this inspires you, and keep sewing, creating. Tell me about what you're making. If you're not part of my pattern group, please join. The link's in the description of this video. You can find all the pattern details for this project following the link in the description of this video over to lifesosavory.com. And I will see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to be off next week because I have company in town. But in 2 weeks, I'll be back with another great sewing tutorial. So I'll see you then. Bye.